If you think of a Golf as your accountant, you know, straight up guy, wears a suit and tie, well, the Golf GTI is that same person but without the tie and the top button on his shirt's undone. The Golf R is the same guy, no shirt, no tie, no jacket, and a diamond stud through his nose. The Golf R is a 220 kilowatt little dynamo. 221 kilowatts is 300 horsepower in the old money, and that's a lot for a small car. Apart from the extra power the Golf R has over the GTI, another thing that separates it is the four-wheel drive system. It's Volkswagen's 4Motion permanent all-wheel drive, and it kind of needs it to make sure it stays stuck to the planet. The R comes loaded with all the spec that you would ever expect to find in a small hatchback, but it doesn't come cheap. This automatic version we're driving is $74,890. Now you can get the manual for $2,500 less. The automatic in this car is not actually an automatic. It's a manual gearbox, but there's no clutch pedal because the gear changes are handled via two shafts, each with their own clutch on them. One carries gear ratio 1, 3 and 5, and the other one carries gear ratios 2, 4 and 6. So what happens is when it's going to change from first to second, it has first engaged, second is also engaged, and all it does is it slips the clutch from first clutch to second clutch. And so you can have full power upshifts. And you get that nice pop, pop, pop exhaust sound, which actually sounds more like this. As a DSG powered car, this thing will do 0 to 100 in 4.9 seconds. 0.2 of a second faster than the manual gearbox will. And the other thing is, it's more economical too. This delivers 7.1 litres per 100k on the combined cycle, and that's really, really impressive for a car that can do 250 kilometres an hour. Now, anybody who's looking for a 200 odd kilowatt, $70,000 odd hatchback is going to be looking at this car and the Focus RS. But pretty early on in that process, I think they're going to fall into one camp or the other quite easily. The reason I say that is they're very different cars. The Focus RS is all about show, hardcore, full noise, maximum impact, balls out all the time, essentially. It's really designed for the track or full-on road usage. The Golf R is not. It's more oriented towards the road. There are 5 different profiles you can choose from with your driving profile selector. Forget about eco, it's just so quick to hop into 3rd or 4th or 5th or 6th gear that you spend no time in first, no time in second, which is really where all the excitement would ever happen. Comfort is the next one up. Normal seems to be a little bit harder than comfort. Then you've got an individual setting, which means that you can program through the various components of the driver control settings that suit you. And the other setting at the top of the range is race. It's very easy to put a set of flowing corners together in the Golf R. It's got great brakes and so much poise and power that it's a lot of fun to have fun with. Certainly delivers flat cornering and doesn't dive under braking or anything, but you don't get that real rigid sort of no suspension type feel. And for that I think Volkswagen should be congratulated, because I've delivered a chassis that is obviously performance oriented, but it's still very comfortable, even as I say in the most hardcore setting of race. Oh no, there's a car in front. Oh my god, it's a Prius! That's the Prius gone. That is a great example of why you would want a car like this, because in our country we have really a huge amount of corners and sinewy back roads. Overtaking opportunities are sometimes relatively few and far between. So when one comes along, even a halfway decent one, you want a car that can make the most of it. As I say it's very dry and sticky on the roads today, so no real chance to observe that electronic locking diff in action. But I did feel at a couple of instances where there was a little bit of compromise to drive on the inside front wheel as we're pulling big acceleration out of a tight corner, and there was no torque steer, no squabbling for grip, so maybe the diff is doing its job and it's just doing it so seamlessly I'm not even noticing. I mean, I'm driving within the legal speed limit, so we're not going absolutely nuts here, but even so we were still pedaling along at a reasonable rate, and I've got to say the car felt very comfortable to be in, no drama whatsoever, and I really liked it. Here's that nice little exhaust barb. It's really lovely. Love that sound. Love that sound. Oops. Of course, an R is still a Golf, and so that means you get certain Golf attributes. For a start, you get beautiful build quality. Nothing ever squeaks or rattles or trembles or vibrates. It's all just locked down, super tight, super neat, super functional. It reassures you that over time the car's going to continue to deliver that sort of new car satisfaction. A lovely little sweetener you get with the R that you don't get on any other Golf is something I can only show you at night. Ooh, aren't those blue lines nice? Now, German cars aren't really known for their fun factor. They seem to be quite staid and conservative, and so it is with the Volkswagen Golf R. For all the promise of 250 km/h top speeds and 0 to 100s ripped out in under 5 seconds, you wouldn't know it to look at it. But the person who buys the Golf R is wanting a car that is a sleeper. Its subtle styling and the cultured way it goes about delivering performance is what appeals. What the Golf R offers that maybe some other vehicles in this particular sector don't is a vast range of ability and ways of rewarding an owner. For 95% of the time it'll chuff around like every other car on the streets, but then for the other 5 or 10% of your time when you can go a little bit nuts and you feel like exercising some of the huge potential this car offers, all you need to do is bury your right foot and it becomes this other car, this other beast emerges from under the humble bodywork and the muted tones of the interior fabrics, and it delivers really, really stunning performance. It's a hell of a car.